Hi guys, welcome everyone who is learning Korean. Korean can be hard, right? First of all, I want to ask, how long have you been learning Korean? Are you a beginner? Or have you been studying for a while? Today, we're going to talk about Korean numbers. Korean numbers are interesting because beginners also learn Korean numbers when they start learning Korean in the very early stage, but I saw many intermediate students get confused about Korean numbers. Okay, so let's do a quick test. If I ask you, 너 몇 살이야? 너 몇 살이야? Then how would you answer? Or 지금 몇 시야? 지금 몇 시야? What about this? 오늘 며칠이야? 오늘 며칠이야? Maybe in your head you're thinking something like, for the first question, 너 몇 살이야? 저는 23 아니다. 23살이에요. Or about second question, 지금 몇 시야? 지금 1시 3분 아니다. 1시 3분? No. 1시 3분. Some of you are probably confused right now, right? That's completely normal, so don't worry. Today, our goal is we will organize Korean number system in very clear and simple way. So this special lesson has two parts. Part 1. Understanding the two number systems in Korean and when to use each of them. That is our part 1. And on our part 2, practicing using real numbers in real situation. So on part 1, means today's video, we will divide Korean two number systems clearly and divide vividly when to use each of the number. We will divide it first today, and next video we will practice how to read real Korean numbers in each situation. After this, I hope Korean numbers will not confuse you anymore. Ready? Let's start! Alright, so Korean has two number systems, as I told you, and maybe you've seen it before. First, native Korean numbers. By the way, the name is not important. You just focus on which situation we will use its numbers, okay? But first, let's divide it by the name of native Korean numbers. These native Korean numbers is something like 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯. Those are native Korean numbers. Okay, that's our first Korean number group. And second Korean number group is Sino-Korean numbers. So Sino-Korean numbers, as I told you, don't just try to remember the name. But this group of numbers is, for example, it's something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sounds like more shorter than native Korean numbers, right? Anyway, those are two number systems in Korean. Today, let's just focus on which case we use each number. That's it, okay? Alright, so first, native Korean numbers. Let's see. Native Korean numbers, you remember only for small number when we count. So native Korean numbers exist only from 1 to 99. So over 100, all numbers is written Sino-Korean numbers. We use only Sino-Korean numbers over 100. So native Korean numbers, remember, only for small amount. And since it's for small amount, it's usually used when people count directly. For example, like age, for example. These days, because of some medical development, there are some peoples who lives over 100. There are many, maybe, but mostly, generally, in our age, when we talk about our age, we are less than 100. So age, when we say it, we use native Korean numbers for a small amount. And also hours. I written hours, not time. Time, but specifically hours only. We use native Korean numbers. Later on Sino-Korean numbers, we will mention this time for minute and second part, but only hour part we use native Korean numbers. Why? Okay, the simple way to explain is that the hour part is the big chunk on the time, right? So the hour parts are how people feel time passing during the day. That's why for the big chunk we use native Korean numbers, only hour part. Okay, and items. So when we count something less than 100, we use native Korean numbers. And K, by the way, is for unit. Okay? There are so many units in Korean, but this is the most general one. So when we were talking about how many apples here, how many pencils, something like that. And even if there's some specific units, for example, how many books you have. I have 3 books, for example. And I say 3 books, there is like specific unit when we count books, it's 권. So we say 한 권, 두 권, 세 권, something like that. But if you say 한 개, 두 개, 세 개, it's not very weird. I mean, 권 is right, but people can understand if you say 개. It's better than 한 명, 두 명. 명, by the way, is for people. So how many people there? 한 명, 두 명, 세 명, 네 명. That's for unit. Those we use native Korean numbers. Good? Then let's move on to next part, Sino-Korean numbers. This is our second part. And compare the native Korean numbers. First of all, Sino-Korean numbers has over 100. So even for the large numbers, we can also use Sino-Korean numbers. So Sino-Korean numbers are usually used for things related to measurement, calculation, or system. For example, first of all, as I told you before, on the time, the minute part, 분, and the second part, 초. That's we use Sino-Korean numbers. Our part, we use native Korean numbers because it's big chunk. And for the minute and second part, it's very feels like technical small measurement feeling, right? So that we use for Sino-Korean numbers. Okay, and second, date. Date. When we say the date, we use Sino-Korean numbers. In English, there are January, February, March, like there's some name of the each month. But in Korean, we don't have specific name. We just say 1월. And what's the February? 2월, March, 3월, April, 4월. Something like that. Just changed for the number part. And also the date part too. Day, the unit is 일. So just change the number. 1일, 2일, 3일, 4일, 15일, something like that. Okay? So the dates we use Sino-Korean numbers. Good. And also when we talk about the floor, we use Sino-Korean numbers. 1층, 2층, 3층, 4층, 5층. First floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor. And also like for the big number too, 16층. And lastly, money. Compare dollars, Korean money unit is huge than them. There are so many zero, right? For example, now because of the currency, the Korean money has less than that, but I don't have any bills near here. So for compare the $1 is not exactly perfectly matched, but like $1 value, we have 1,000원. 1,000원. Anyway, won is for unit for money, and 1,000 is like our really basic unit of the money. But 1,000 is already a large number, right? So as I told you, 1,000, there are no Korean native numbers because Korean native numbers exist only less than 100. So you can just say 돈, Korean money has large amounts, so many zero, so they use only Sino-Korean numbers. That's it. Okay? Great. So if you want to master Korean numbers, remember this simple rule. Let's go back to our page. First, native Korean numbers, age, time, but hours, and when you count something but small amount, items, or people or animal. So people can count directly is for native Korean numbers. And Sino-Korean numbers is more measurement, more specific, and more large number. Minute and second part, date, floor, and money. This is the basic one we have to remember. So if you're very confused right now, just focus on this, what I just said, okay? I think that's pretty enough for beginners or intermediate level. Okay, but now we still have one question left. How do we actually read numbers? Now I understand which case I use each number, but how? I don't know how to read native or Sino-Korean numbers. That's our last task. But don't worry, there are very simple rules to count both native and Sino-Korean numbers. So next time, we will learn how to read numbers from 1 to 10 for each. Native Korean numbers and Sino-Korean numbers. And native Korean numbers, that's it. And Sino-Korean numbers are also bigger than 100. So we will also learn how to read over 100 numbers in a very easy way. And if you master those two parts, whenever you have to say any number in Korean on each cases, you will have confidence to say it. Okay? Wait for the next class and see you in the next lesson. 안녕!